the one person that does this in the promo video, I just don't get that whole.
You don't get why? Isn't that how you celebrate something you're excited about?
This one hand, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The other hand, what's funny is you have a slight blockage of your camera in the upper left-hand corner. It's a little peephole effect.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
That? I don't know why. I had this on from something else, I guess.
Wow, the light is so bright in your office, you have to have the sunscreen on. Look at that.
It's not a sunscreen. It's just
it's the sunscreen for your lens. It's your.
I guess that's what it is.
Yeah, it's meant to block out. Right. Yeah,
and it says inside out right here.
Just like that. Well, it is a perfect night to bring that up. So, how are you, Mr. Rosenberg?
I'm good. It's June 10th somehow already.
It's June 10th here for the EriDan Film Festival episode. Do you have a guess?
221.
205. That's all right. We're moving a lot slower this summer with the film festival because we're taking every other week to play games and have fun.
Oh, that's right.
So we are only on episode 205, but it's a double feature.
So it's movie number 236 and 237.
253.
Oh my God.
252, 52, 253.
Think about how many hours we have spent. I was going to say wasted, but I won't say it.
Wasted. We have contributed. We have enriched our lives through the Hollywood movie machine. No, I don't know. I'm not buying it either, but that's all right.
250. So that's like 500 hours basically plus.
Sure. I would think that was true.
I mean, if we take 2 hours a movie, 200 and how many did you say? 253?
253 movies. Dan's going to do some math now.
253. That's 553. 253 times, let's say an average movie is 2 hours, because some are longer, some are shorter.
Sure.
Divide 506 hours by 24. That's 21 days. It's 3 weeks. 3 weeks of movie watching.
Movie watching, and let alone not including the time that we have spent talking about said movies.
Right. And that's another 250 plus hours.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Thank you, COVID.
What a great time to spend with the people you love.
Yeah. Adam says, what's up? He's stuck in bad traffic, so he'll be chatting only.
That's all right. We're glad Adam could be here. You have an option if you're at home and you're watching this. You can join us, which we're going to bring in some people here. Or you can be in the chat. But if you want to join us, EriDanLive.com, join us and talk about movies.
And if EriDanLive.com is not working for you, use an incognito window if you've been on before. If you've never been on before, it should work fine.
You should have
sometimes it
piece of cake.
It keeps the old one.
Barely an inconvenience.
Barely an inconvenience. What happened to that guy? I haven't seen any new ones of those.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, no, I haven't seen a new one either.
Wow. That was huge for
other things on YouTube, which we'll talk about later in the show, because that's what I've been watching. I've been watching a lot of YouTube lately.
Okay.
So we'll fill you in. But if you want to talk to us now, you got to do this. You got to join us. EriDanLive.com, and then we'll do this. It never gets old.
Oh, are you sure? Are you sure? That was old, 19, whatever it was.
Look at that fabulous shirt that Wade is wearing. Available at the EriDanShop.com.
That's right.
EriDan.com for all your EriDan merch.
That's right.
That was a good plug.
You like that?
That was. Yeah,
we have EriDan plugs. If you want plugs, we can get those too. You got your 3-prong, you got your 2-prong.
Whatever it takes.
Hair plugs if you need them. We'll provide it all.
Oh, geez.
I like it. You know what else I like?
It's just in Dave.
Howdy.
Just like that.
I would count only a small fraction of those hours as wasted. There were a few movies, however, that I would throw into that bucket.
But I think the great movies that maybe you hadn't ever seen before have enriched the times of your lives.
This has been a wonderful experience of 3 weeks of our lives.
I can't believe it's only 3 weeks.
3 solid weeks, though. That's like nonstop, 24 hours a day for 3 weeks.
Okay.
That's a long time.
Great entertainment are we keeping you from? Is what I want to know.
Well, nothing. It just seems like it's short.
I mean, if you take, let's do this real quick. If you take those 506 hours and you divide them by 8, which would be a typical work day, it's 63 and a quarter work days. So then you divide that by 22, which is how many people usually work in a month.
Oh, good. We get to watch Dan do math.
This is
that's riveting. 2.875 weeks of work.
How many
weeks? 2.875.
Oh, so that's nothing.
I was like 3 weeks before. I don't know.
Right, something wrong.
I did something wrong.
He needs to check his math.
Dave mentioned math. I got confused.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry.
All right.
Is confusion one of the emotions?
It is. Well, for Dan, you saw what was going on in the teenage boy's mind.
That was chaos more than confusion, but
I'm chaos and confusion.
Oh.
I'm chaos and control. Sorry about that, Chief.
You're mayhem. You're a State Farm commercial.
Oh my
gosh.
Wow, I'm so confused by this. I don't even know how to bring in Amanda.
Uh-oh.
Hey, that works. Cool.
Why did we hear her? That was weird.
It didn't. Sometimes it doesn't play the intro. Like I only saw the final. I only saw the final second of the intro.
Oh.
It mostly just showed me this.
That's so weird.
Oh, that was why, because we could hear you. It said you were muted when I looked down at the little master.
You
Yeah, we
couldn't
can hear
use
you.
Amanda.
We heard you laugh.
Brittany's in the comments.
Hey, hey.
Hey.
My.
Bye. What?
And by
Rock
the way,
and roll will
everybody,
never
please like, love, share, comment. It really does help the algorithms.
All right.
That's all.
I think
Even if you're on the show right now, okay, give it a like. She says that was the first time watching Kiki's. Thanks for that.
Oh, cool. Hopefully,
I'm thinking it's not sarcastic.
the smiley face I'm hoping means that was not torturous.
Thanks for that.
Thanks for that.
Well, where do we want to start, Amanda? These are your movies, so where would you like to start tonight?
So I'd say start with Inside Out.
All right, let's start with Inside Out, the first of the duology.
Well, who knows how many it could be eventually.
It's true. It's very true. Inside Out from 2015, rated R, apparently.
Wow.
Really?
It did R.
Did I watch the wrong one?
Uh-oh.
All right, Amy Poehler.
A little sketchy in there.
Really sad. Amy Poehler, Phyllis Smith, Richard Kind, Bill Hader, Lewis Black, Mindy Kaling. So many people. Just
Eric watched the uncut version.
A lot of famous people. Interesting fact. $175 million budget, 850. It did fine. It did fine. They got their money back. Interesting thing about both of these movies, they share the exact identical Rotten Tomato ratings of 98 from the critics, 89 from the audience.
Wow.
Or did you forget to cut and paste the right one?
No, that I can confirm. That they both contain 98 and 89.
Kiki's rated NC-17.
So Inside Out, Amanda, you've been holding on to this movie since February
Of last year, yeah.
You're 2023.
Yeah.
So why the love?
This is just I don't know why. I just adore this movie. This is one of my top Pixar movies. I have an Inside Out checkbook. The weird thing is that then you have to I'm going to write an anger check to somebody, and it feels weird, but I'm feeling just
wait, stop.
The first month after your rent goes up, yeah.
I would totally pay my taxes. I would pay my taxes with those. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
Everybody gets sadness. I'm sorry. There goes my money.
I just find that this movie consists. I cry every time I watch this movie, so it has a great story to it. But I find it I don't really get bored during it, which I sometimes can during some Pixar movies. Even if I love them, I feel like there are lines consistently throughout that make me laugh. There's all these little things in the background or these crazy references, and I feel like there's just so much. And I love the world building of this crazy world inside people's minds. And yeah, I just think it's a really fun movie.
Well, excellent. Was this anybody's first time ever watching Inside Out? Or is this, we've all seen this?
It might be only my second time. I honestly don't know if I've seen it since I first saw it in theater.
Yeah, it's our second time.
I would agree with that. I concur.
You agree that this was Dave's second time?
Yes, and Stacey's as well.
They all concur that this was my second time. Yeah.
Yes.
Just as long as we have a consensus, that's all I want to make.
Yeah,
we have a quorum.
This is an excellent movie. This is a fun, heart-wrenching, destroy you as a parent kind of movie.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, when we saw it at the movie theaters a month or so before that, one of Reagan's friends' sisters.
No, it was happening then.
Oh, it was right about the same time.
Yeah.
One of Reagan's friends, her sister ran away, and they had got her back in a few days, but it was kind of all right at the same time. So then when it was going to that, and then she was going to run away, I was like getting mad.
He was pretty emotional because she had run away, but we found out that she kind of had been led away too by a stranger. So it was kind of scary too. Yeah, it was really crazy. So we were in a different frame of mind watching it, and then we told Reagan, "Don't watch it."
Not yet.
We told her to wait a while, and when she finally did watch it, she was like, "Yeah, I'm glad you told me that."
Yeah,
because it would have been rough. And so watching it this time, totally different.
Yeah,
I was not feeling the same. It was like watching it for the first time. There were things that we had missed. They were like, I don't remember that. So it was better this time. Even though it was good the first time, it was better this time.
I do love the casting.
Yeah.
It's
Lewis Black is great.
Yeah.
I loved Paula Poundstone and her little cameo. I'm like, I know her. Who is that? I can see
Paula
her.
Pell too. I recognized her voice. It's like, I don't remember that Paula Pell was in this. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Wait, I'm not sure who was Paula Poundstone in this movie.
She was one of the forgetters.
One of the two forgetters.
Yeah.
Who was taking away the memories with Bobby Moynihan as the other one.
Oh, that's funny. And then
As is right out of the gate, joy and sadness, the characters he couldn't stand. He enjoyed the other emotion characters immensely more, which sucked because they're secondary characters.
I don't agree, but I can understand that joy could wear on you a bit.
Yes.
Joy is definitely like
she's so overwhelmingly, relentlessly positive.
And by the time they're leaving headquarters and like the way she's just like sidelining sadness the whole time, you definitely get very annoyed with joy by the time they get stuck.
But I never got tired of sadness. I thought she was very well played.
Yeah. We didn't know the first time we saw it, we didn't know who was playing her. We had never heard of Phyllis Smith or whatever her name is.
From The Office.
Yeah, we hadn't seen that yet. So we had no idea who it was. And she was Emma's favorite character, which that tracks.
I have to say Lewis Black was my favorite. Every time he was on screen, I just laughed.
It was hilarious.
Phyllis Smith was a casting associate on The Office, and then they gave her a role.
Yep.
Is most of the cast returning for the sequel here?
Not Disgust and Fear, right?
Yeah, Bill Hader and Mindy Kaling apparently had a salary dispute, so they're not returning. But sadness, joy, and anger are.
Interesting. Yeah.
Very interesting.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
But I can sort of understand it with Bill Hader. His prominence has grown significantly in the last 7 or 8 years, with Barry being a hit show and all of that. But yeah.
Mindy, she's kind of gone backwards since then.
She was bigger 5 years ago than she is now.
Yeah.
She's perfect for Disgust, though.
She's a great, I love.
She's a great. I
didn't recognize the actor who's Disgust in the sequel, but Fear is being played by Tony Hale, and I think he'll do an excellent job.
Oh yeah, Buster Bluth.
Is Tony Hale?
He's Buster on Arrested Development.
He's been in a bunch of stuff.
Does he do the commercial for the one phone?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I thought it was. I would say I think he was on Chuck, but I didn't want to.
He was representing Reagan.
Just because it's ingrained in our brains now.
Mm-hmm.
Fair.
There were only one or two scenes where I felt it got a little bit not bad. It never was an excellent movie, but it's got a little bit almost slapsticky, like with the giant pile of imaginary boyfriends forming the giant ball. I thought that was a little silly.
I would die for Riley.
I love the original one, but then producing a big pile of them was a little bit weird.
Yeah, but I love
the
and I love the whole sequence with how dreams are made with these like weird like blob actors and then the reality filter over that and kind of cutting between what like we were seeing and what Riley was seeing. And
I loved Fear critiquing their performance.
What?
I loved Fear critiquing their performance.
Yes, no, I love that we got to like Fear watching on Dream Duty.
That's funny.
And I love the whole like when they go. There's just so many different like interesting places that they go in the dream one. I love the abstract thought section where they go into that where they kind of slowly decompose and become like flat lines.
Yep.
Yeah, they had a lot of fun with the world building.
Yeah.
Yes, and Bing Bong, a very fun and tragic character.
Oh,
Stacy.
Yeah.
Tony Hill was on 13 episodes of Chuck.
Yes, I know he was.
Yeah, Emmett Milbarge.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were asking.
No, I knew
No,
it.
she was saying that was who she was going to bring up. Is that she brought up the commercial instead?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I trust your Chuck knowledge. I will say the only thing that I'm generally unhappy about, and I've definitely talked about this enough with with some people, is I think it's cool that we get to see the emotions in other people's minds, but it's really weird that in everyone else's minds, they're all just identical clones of each other. And Riley is the only one where each of her emotions has like a different personality and like a different gender. And it's like not all just a Riley's hairstyle, like a weird little person.
Yeah, I thought that wasn't developed well at all.
Yeah, and I do wish they had made them at least a little more, like even if they could have all had the same hairstyle, or like I liked all the dads ones having the mustache, that was kind of cute. But like they didn't really portray their emotions. They were all the different colors, but I didn't feel the emotions come through.
They were more subdued.
Once you're adult, all your emotions just even out. You don't have any wild emotions.
That does sound right.
Even your anger is civilized once you grow out of it.
Speak for yourself, jerk.
Hey, man.
Yeah, I thought that was weird. I was trying to figure out who was who. I'm like, why are they just different colors? What's happening?
I loved though that when she's trying to get his attention and they go into his brain and they're just watching hockey. Wait, she's looking at us. What did we miss?
How was school today, honey?
Oh, yes.
I felt the pain. I felt that.
There was a short that we watched that I'm not sure exactly when it was produced. Riley's First Date, that shows the same kid who was a girl running around when she handed him his water bottle that he dropped, arriving for a date with Riley, and the dad, his reaction in the two of them. It's really very good and a nice continuation.
Really, I had never watched that one before either.
Same.
Huh. Didn't see it.
That's on Disney Plus too. If you watch Disney Plus,
okay.
Mm-hmm. It's on the Blu-ray as well, but yeah, that's nice.
Yeah,
that it's on Disney Plus.
It's short. It's like 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah,
but they show inside his head, and he's all just skateboarding and.
Mm-hmm. But again, fear is skateboarding. Like fear should.
Huh?
Exactly.
Exactly.
So it really was a strong script.
The work thing.
It is always interesting if you read much or watch much about the working method within Pixar, which I assume is still the case under Disney, but I haven't watched as much. The way that stories develop over time, and they're constantly refining and showing work cuts and saying, well, what's working, what's not, and sometimes the stories massively rework over the course of production. But this was a really strong story, really strong script, pretty much beginning to end.
Yeah. When you go with, was it well acted? Was it well? I mean, was it well shot? Yes. It was well drawn. It It was cast beautifully. It had all the right things.
Yep.
Yeah. There's really no real
It's good for all
criticism. Like I
ages.
said, there's one or two scenes I might quibble with, but it's so minor. It's almost looking for fault where there really isn't much of one.
Right.
Yeah, and it feels like like, I mean, most of the movies you could probably say have like some sort of moral or message, but this felt like it was like a fairly unique like message of the movie, the being of like it's okay to feel sad and it's okay to like express emotions, and that like I feel like that was kind of a really interesting novel sort of message for a movie like this that you're not really going to see in a lot of other.
Well, it is. It's a movie that has a lot of sad themes.
Yeah,
and then the implication is that it's okay to be sad. And I think what beautifully done, beautifully brought through in a unique message.
And I think this time watching it and seeing Joy trying to be in charge of everything, wanting all of the core memories to be joyful, and then sadness touching them. I'm like, and I was mad at sadness at first when she was just touching everything randomly, like a little kid almost.
I can't help myself.
But I started thinking, man, how Joy just is just running too hard. There's a message there.
We've all known people that almost seem artificially chipper all the time. Like it's like nobody can be like that all the time.
Right.
Well, it was like after Riley embarrassed herself in school, and the other emotions were trying to take over, there was something where like Joy's like, no, I have to take over, and Anger says something like, no, there's no reason for Riley to be happy right now. You need to let us take control. And it's like, yeah, that's fair. Like,
true.
Like imagine like her trying to force herself to be happy after she had just like embarrassed herself in front of her whole school. No, she needs to like feel sadness and anger and these other things.
Well, and when the mom comes in and tells her that she's got to be happy right now because Dad's going through such a hard time, you just feel terrible for her because she's fighting this already, and then her mom totally unknowingly, cluelessly puts this on her.
Yeah. And
Adam said he found that the movie was uneven for him. There were parts that were good and parts that were kind of meh, and that the movie would have looked better personally if all the emotions had gone on the adventure and not been sidelined.
Well, that would have been so weird, just because
then she wouldn't have had any emotion.
Exactly. Like part of the cool thing during the adventure is seeing like anger and fear and disgust trying to run like
trying to be in charge
without her being able to feel
joy. When Anger was in charge, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I like that them all trying to imitate Joy at the dinner table, and them just like Disgust says it sarcastically.
that scene breaks my heart. I can't.
Because we've been there and it comes back. And you've been there yourself. You've watched your kids do it, and it does break your heart.
We're gonna have to put our foot down. We're gonna have to put our foot down.
But like the dad's mind is like so militaristic, and like if you watch the like first date short, like every decision he makes seems to be run like this crazy like military complex in his brain.
There's never any dissent either among them.
It seems so intense. Yeah,
there's a little bit more with the mom. Like I do like the Brazilian guy.
They just roll him behind for later, just in case. Just in case.
All right, let's throw some numbers.
I was going to say that.
I was going to say
I was going to say at the 20-minute mark, but the conversation kept going. So usually I say when it's
letting the conversation breathe. We appreciate it.
Thank you for making it organic, Dan.
Yes, there you go.
Let's do this then.
Yeah, so I love this movie. I've talked about it a lot. It's really great, and I love that at the end when you see her core emotions that have been like rebuilt, like they're all not just joy. Like if you look at her hockey memory, it's like joy and anger, because like that's fair. That seems like the combination you would have while you're playing hockey. And I just love how everything in this movie fits together. I love the interplay between what's going on in her mind and how it affects her in the real world. It's just so interesting and creative, and it just it's one of my favorite Pixar movies. I'm going to give it 100.
Wow.
You just do that 100 out like it was, no, I'm going to give it 100.
No, I mean, it's
so I'm going to give it 100.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
All righty. Let's go over to Stacey Wade Stacey.
Yeah. like I said, it was interesting watching it the second time in a totally different mindset and seeing it a lot differently. I remembered not liking Bing Bong, and I didn't remember why. And it wasn't that I didn't like him; I didn't like what happened, and I had forgotten what happened because I just thought all I remember thinking was that he was something scary, and I couldn't remember why, and he wasn't, and I kept waiting for that, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I was confused. I did not remember. I liked seeing it differently. I liked seeing Joy just wanting to be in charge of everything. I liked seeing that and understanding that that's not how it's supposed to be and all that good stuff. So it had a neat message, I think. So I'm going to give it a 94.
94.
All right. Yeah, I liked the message. Going through CPE, you're learning a lot about different emotions, and that was a really neat way of putting them out there, especially with kids who can't figure them out most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Give them a little chance to figure them out. Yeah, it was really enjoyable.
Yeah.
And except for the first time when I watched it, when I got really mad when she was going to run away, but the second time it wasn't as bad, and so I'm going to give it a 90 for me.
90
from Wade.
All right, let's go over to Gigi.
Yeah, it's a top 5 Pixar for me, which is not a slam in any way. I mean, that's a very high rating. I think possibly my all-time favorite Pixar might be Monsters, Inc., but it's interesting that they share some features, the whole emotion, fear versus laughter. There's a little bit of overlap there. I think this is just a solid movie beginning to end. I'm not quite to the point where I can watch it anytime. I could watch it if it's on, I have to watch it. But it's one I said I've only seen it twice, I think, but I've greatly enjoyed it both times. So it's a 95 for me.
95.
95.
So much
all right.
love.
Well, in the comments so far, we got Brittany Inside Out. Man, I wish I could have been there to talk about it. Such a good movie. 98.
Woo!
We don't have Adam's score yet. I'm not positive my mom watched these this week or not. But yeah, it's like what you guys all said. This is a fun movie. I am now looking forward to the sequel, which I was not looking forward to before because I didn't even know it was coming out. So this has all worked out very well. Beautiful timing. I don't have a least favorite Pixar movie. I haven't. They're all pretty good. There has to be a least favorite if I
Some of the sequels are not quite up to snuff.
Yeah.
Monsters University is not that great.
Yeah, but I still like it.
Yeah, I remember liking that a lot.
So I think this is a solid 93 for me.
93. Wow.
I'll go over to Eric.
And I'm a Pixar. I love all of it. I think it's really good. The only thing is, this is not a movie I want to watch over and over again because it makes me sad.
Right.
There's so much about this movie that just like rips me up inside, and I sound like Brian, where it's like, oh, I hate that I feel emotion when I'm watching it. But it is so good. I just don't know how rewatchable it is for me on a regular basis. That said, I ended up at a 92.
But I also give them a lot of credit for doing that because Disney sometimes avoids that. In the early days, they didn't. Bambi's mom and Dumbo had some real tragic moments, but the willingness to face that kind of emotion in a movie that is not a kids movie, a movie a lot of kids are going to watch,
right?
And to handle it well is really tricky, and I think they did.
I concur. And Dan, you want to bring up Adam?
Adam says it's the middle of the road Pixar for me. Some parts I enjoyed, just the main characters I didn't like it all, so it really hurts my score due to not really enjoying a lot of it. 65 cats.
That's pretty good.
Hey, it's double digits, man. Double digits over 50. That's solid.
That is solid. That is solid. All right, let's move on to Kiki's Delivery Service. When I went to look this up to make up the card for Kiki's, I discovered that there's a live action Kiki's Delivery Service that was made in 2014.
Did not know that.
Whoa!
It does not get good ratings.
Well,
on Tomatoes. But this is not what we watched. We watched the 1989 original starring Kirsten Dunst and Phil Hartman and Tress MacNeille and Janine Garofalo and Matthew Lawrence and Joan Hostetter. This an $8 million budget with a worldwide gross of $10 million. And I said the identical ratings with a 98 and an 89 over at Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, wait, hold on. This just in. My mom just texted me.
Ooh.
She loved Inside Out.
She loved it.
Yay.
And she gave it a 98.
Nice.
Whoa. Woo, that's going to bump up that a little bit. Very nice.
Now, one thing with Kiki's, Eric. Okay, so you're saying 1989. That's the original was 1989. The Disney version was 97 and 98
Oh, wait, so
and
that was the dub.
2010.
Well, that was the dubbing.
It's
You
just
mean?
the dub.
Yeah,
The animation
like,
is the same.
so Kirsten Dunst and Phil Hartman, that all
Yeah.
happened in 87. 98.
I'm assuming that's the one most people watched.
Yes.
Yeah.
We watched the dubbed version.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's all. I just wanted
And
to put that.
definitely this was the first time for me for this one.
Me too. Never heard of it.
Second time for me, I think. Maybe it had been third, but I think it was second.
And our second Studio Ghibli
but yeah.
Ghibli movie.
Yeah.
And I've realized that these movies are not for me.
Yeah.
So Brittany
fair.
is either saying it's her third time or she's only giving this a 3. I think
No,
it's her
I-
third
She
time.
already said she is first time watching it. So.
First time.
Oh, me 3, because we said me too.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Not
And my
me
mom
three.
did not get it. She has to watch this one, so there will not be a score coming from my mom on this one. That I was just also.
I will not say I did not. I prefer this one over the other movie that we watched, The Secret World of Arrietty. I
Mhm.
preferred it over that, but still, my wife left the room the moment this started because she's like, "Oh, I don't like this animation style," and like, psh,
Oh,
Whoa.
the animation style isn't interesting.
I can understand finding it a bit slow if it's not your style of film, but the animation was beautiful, I thought.
no. it's
Now,
just
see, I think
that style.
yeah, the animation in this one I liked better than Arrietty, even though Arrietty had some beautiful scenes. This
Mhm.
one was more beautiful all
The
the way.
landscapes in this and the cities were
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah.
But the story was so slow. At one point, I went, "She's made one delivery," and so that was hard. And I love the music; it was very
The
British
music's great.
comedy.
Yeah.
It was like very old British comedy to me, and I just liked it. So that brought me.
Ah, jeepers.
Yeah,
Sorry,
you know,
what
that
was
classic
that?
Kiki songs.
You got zonked.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
I agree. I like the landscape stuff in it, and
It is slow. I'm not going to disagree with that, but
Yeah.
I didn't mind that.
Yeah, a
I've
lot
said
of
the
Ghibli
same thing
movies
about
are-
a few other movies we've watched where I don't disagree that they're
A live
slow.
action.
But if I find the characters
Well-
engaging enough, being slow doesn't bother me.
yeah.
And I
Yeah,
did
I
find
feel
the
like
characters engaging enough here.
There's very much like two styles of Ghibli movies because there's probably something, but like, Kiki's Delivery Service, Secret World of Arrietty, Totoro are all very slow movies, and they're really just kind of like slice of life. Meet these characters, see how their lives are like, watch them kind of grow and evolve, and then you have ones like Princess Mononoke or like Howl's Moving Castle or Castle in the Sky that are Spirited Away, even
The
like
Boy and the Heron.
yeah, much faster paced and like very action packed. But yeah, we've just Secret World of Arrietty, I don't believe was directed by Miyazaki. Kiki was.
Yeah, apparently we were watching some extras, and Miyazaki was saying this was their first real hit. They had made a couple of movies before this that I guess had done well enough to continue, but they certainly weren't really successes. This was apparently really a big hit in Japan.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know if this is my favorite Studio Ghibli movie, but it's definitely up there. It's definitely one of my favorites. I think there are parts of it there are parts of other movies that I like better, but there's also parts of this movie that I just love. Gigi is a big part of my love for this. The way they
and
animate
Phil
that
Hartman,
cat
man.
is so, and like every animation of Gigi is so good. Like just every frame that he's on screen is.
he's adorable.
In fact, my only, it's not a criticism because it's not the movie's fault and I don't take away from it, but my only sadness really watching this movie is I have a hard time watching anything with Phil Hartman in it.
Mm.
Because he's one of the very small number of people I never met who, when he died, I really just felt it like a kick to the gut.
Yeah. That's
Jim Henson I felt the same way about.
Yeah. I think that when we were in Disney, when we went to Epcot in December, we went to Japan, and I knew I was going to buy my coworkers chopsticks for Christmas there. I'm like, this is the perfect gift for them. And they had chopsticks that were Kiki's delivery service. And I was like, I know I've heard Brenda talk about this. I don't know what this little cat is. And I looked at them, but they were not like grown-up ones. They were very disposable.
Oh,
looking.
sure.
And I'm like, so I went with the grown-up ones. But I told her later, and she said it's the only one the only Studio Ghibli movie she has not seen.
Oh, wow.
But when I got it in, I ordered it from Beaver Library and had it delivered, and she's the one who got the bag that day. And I got the notification that it was on my desk, and I was like, "Oh, Brenda saw it." She was very excited. So she said, "I can't wait to hear what you think about it." So.
Yeah, I loved all the scenes with like Gigi trying to be like the toy cat with the dog.
That was funny. And the dog rescuing him.
I know, that was so random. It was cute.
Okay, I did like the old dog rescuing. I'll give you extra 3 points for that.
Yeah.
I thought the voices, the English voices were well cast.
Mhm.
Kirsten Dunst didn't stand out, which is a good thing. You don't want a voice actor you immediately go in the lead. You don't want a voice actor that you go, oh, look, it's, you know, you want someone who sort of blends into the role, and she did that well.
I think Phil Hartman's the only one who didn't blend in. He was very noticeable.
Yeah.
But given he was sort of the screwball role. He was the madcap.
Yeah, he was like the snarky little comic.
I was disappointed that there wasn't more closure with him towards the end.
Yeah,
she never heard his voice again. You mean, for example,
he never really came back and had a sarcastic quip to end the movie or anything, like, you know.
But I did love the closing credits.
Oh yeah, I loved all the sequences of and just seeing everyone in the town that she had interacted with.
And basically seeing what happened. You know, you got to see the cat with the kittens.
Yeah,
you got to see
Tombo making like a metal sign to hang up outside her delivery service. You got to see her writing the letter to her parents back.
The finished lightweight pedal ship. With the kid pedaling and flying.
For a movie that I found slow and was anxious to be over, that I was sad the way it ended.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, I really wanted 5 minutes more.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm curious what Brian thinks about it, because like Ghibli movies do tend to be very ambiguous with their magic systems. Like they really don't explain a lot of things. Boy and the Heron was definitely that way. Howl's Moving Castle has so many like unclear like sequences near the end of that. And I feel like the reason why Gigi lost his ability to speak, and if he would ever get it back again, is kind of intentionally a vague thing.
Well, I sort of got he didn't lose his ability to speak. She lost her ability to understand him.
Yeah.
It is the only two really quote unquote magic things we saw, right? Where we saw Kiki and that other witch flying, and we saw the mother brewing potions, which we never really saw the effect of.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And we know that the other witch said that she does fortune telling. So there's clearly like a few different types of magic things that witches can do. Kiki just hasn't really, I guess. Well, I guess her mom said that she never really taught her how to brew potions, so that wasn't an option. Oops.
Oops.
I did also like Miyazaki saying,
"Time to leave."
Yes, I did like Miyazaki saying in the one extra we watched that it was a deliberately ambiguous time period, but he was trying to capture the feel of Europe if the war had never happened. Europe in the 50s if the war had never happened.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it was kind of based on a mix of different European cities. He sent his like animators on like a trip to different cities to try to get inspiration for the visuals of it.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of wondering when the other witch was flying down to her town. There was the red windmill, and I'm like, "What the heck is that?" And then I got to start thinking later. I'm like, "That's Moulin Rouge." That is. And she was like talking about fortune telling for lovers and things like that. So it made sense.
Yeah, I think Miyazaki said in the special feature that like Europeans will be very confused as to where this is, and Japanese will think this is just a normal European town.
Yeah,
it's generic Europe.
Yeah, it's like it looks like Europe.
Because he said he mixed French, this French cafe with this, Italian bakery with this, just all mashed together, and Japanese audiences were like, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
This is another one of those movies too that I struggled with the lack of development. It was just boom, we're developed now. Like her relationship with the baker, whose name I don't know, but he was like very protective of her, and I'm like, since when? What happened? Does he know her? Does he know she's staying in his house?
I didn't realize they were married. I didn't
Yeah,
realize
towards
that
the
was
end.
her husband.
Well, I knew that. I assumed that.
Yeah.
It was just, I had no idea.
I never made that leap of faith until like the end.
Yeah, when they had to go to the hospital.
I'm like, oh, it's not just some random guy who works there.
Right.
I do like that, like all of his development is kind of like he's pretty much a silent character the entire
Yeah.
movie. You see him like a lot of scenes in like the background, sort of.
Yeah, just like winking at the cat, just occasional little tiny asides. Yeah.
When he winked at the cat, I went,
Yeah, because she did too. I think the wife
Well,
did too.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's just like the cat is clearly very nervous, so I think he's just trying to kind of be like relate to this like freaked out cat who's spying on him.
well,
like,
yeah.
making bread. Yeah,
It just seems so random. I'm like, what is happening? Because he was the strong silent type. So.
yeah,
You sort of almost got the impression that this was a world that magic had at one point been far more common than it was now. Where like, you go back 200 years, and of course every town has a witch. Right. And now it's sort of, yeah, we haven't had one in a long time, and people haven't really
still kind of know that that's a thing that could be around, and no one's like, people are startled, but they're not like, witches are a thing.
Yeah, they're not freaked out by it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even the newscaster at the end was saying he was like a young girl. No, a young witch. I'm like, I think
there were a couple of themes here that boys are utterly clueless around girls was one theme between the two movies.
Yes.
And that dads are clueless was another one that was, yeah.
To be fair, her dad didn't really come across as clueless to me.
Well, a little bit. He sort of seemed like, oh, okay, sure, take the radio. It was just sort of, I don't know, he didn't have a very well-developed personality.
Yeah, although I feel like he seemed to, I don't know, he seemed fairly like confident compared to like the dad in the first movie.
Well, yeah,
yes.
In Inside Out, he seemed just seemed
a
to
little
have
better. I'll give
like,
you that.
We mostly just saw them at the moment where Kiki was like ambushing with them. I'm about to abandon you for a year. So like the Bob's potion blew up, and like he like knocked off the car, which is like understandable. Yeah.
I also thought it was a little funny when the newscasters were watching the airship in jeopardy, and they just kept talking about the boys. Like there's a whole gondola full of guys up there. They seem to care not one iota about.
Yeah. I mean, they care about them, but like one boy is dangling from a rope. They're at least in an enclosed carriage. So like,
news coverage.
In terms of who's going to die first, it's going to be the boy dangling from a rope.
The other thing about that is at the end when he finally does fall, all of a sudden there's the fireman with the big bouncy thing.
Yeah, they finally made
Where have you been?
Well, they were trying to get to the crowd.
I guess.
It's a huge crowd of people.
They had
and did you know that cats
can
sweat?
There.
That was the other takeaway: is cats can sweat apparently.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
And he was
if they're
covered in a
fronted by a
little drop.
dog, yeah.
Come on, you've watched Cats. You know they can sweat.
I also loved the animation every time she was flying. I think as her mom said, like she's not a great flyer, and like even at the end, she's like kicking off of buildings. She's like careening around.
That was also adjusting to a new broom, but yes.
Yeah, but even when she's like flying away from home, she's like having to kick off of buildings. Like when she's
you gotta break in the broom.
She's
you got that new broom smell.
It is interesting though, having watched 3 animated films in a row, to see the very different styles of both storytelling and animation used in the 3.
Yeah. And that was kind of the idea with this double feature, was that I wanted to do kind of 2 animated movies. They're both like broadly young girl moving to a new location, coming of age kind of stories, but very different animation styles, very different like storytelling methods.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were talking in the extra too about Miyazaki. He had 4 brothers and 2 sons. He had said he had no idea what a young girl was like. So the one producer had a daughter who was was it
a
like
year older than
12?
Kiki. She was 13. Yeah.
You're 13. And so a lot of the sort of stories and mannerisms apparently were taken from his stories, the producer's stories of his daughter.
Okay.
Wow. All right. Well, there it is. There's a pause. Let's go for it. Let's do some scoring.
All right. We'll go back to there you go. Start with Amanda.
Yeah, I think I like this movie a lot. It's definitely much slower paced than Inside Out. So if you were more accustomed to that pace of movie or were wanting a faster, yeah, I totally understand that. It won't be for everybody. That being said, I find that there's always something interesting happening. Some of the scenes are slow, but there's always it's always like a lovely landscape, or there's like a really cute little like interaction in the background of the shot, and the characters are just really lovely. And I just find it a really pleasant movie. Maybe next time we'll pick up like Princess Mononoke, and we can do a very different style of Studio Ghibli movie. But I like this movie a lot. I have a little plush Gigi in my car. I'm gonna give this one a 97.
97.
87. We'll go right to Brittany here real quick. 83 for me. It was cute. A little slow at points, but she definitely enjoyed it.
Yay.
So there you go. Wade and Stacy.
Yeah, it's us again. You go first.
So I did really like how the baker came running out to see the dirigible when it flew by too. That was I can relate to that.
The encourageable dirigible.
Yeah. And yeah, the only thing I kind of really didn't like about it was where you kind of really didn't understand with the cat losing her losing understanding the cat talking to her and things like that, and just kind of needed some little hints that they weren't real clear, I guess you'd say. But other than that, I mean, I did like the animation and the landscape type animation to it, and so I'm going to give it. I'll give it an 88.
88. Wow.
I'm trying to figure out which range in there.
88.
I like I said, I like the animation. I love the music. The characters were good. I did like them. I just felt like it was just very spread apart, and I think that Kiki needed a few more deliveries. Just my personal opinion. Everything took too long for her to do. It just, I was like, come on. And I think I missed some things. Wade's talking about the hospital. I'm like, I missed that part because we did both like we were knocked out watching it the first time this weekend. So we had to go back and watch a few things. So, and that's not the movie. I don't think. I think it was more the alcohol we drank while we were watching.
That helped.
Yeah.
Day drinking with Wade and Stacy.
Oh no, we watched it in the evening. See, that's the problem.
Sure you did.
It was way too late.
Well, they started drinking in the evening. They started drinking in the afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think I'm going to give it an 86.
86.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go over to Dave's AKGG.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I have
I'm sorry.
sympathy.
Suddenly I can't understand you. It's so weird. It's just
I don't hear you.
Oh, okay.
I do have sympathy for people's criticisms of this movie because I do agree that it's slow, and I get that the uncertainty can be of why some of the things worked or didn't work, or why the cat stopped talking and all of that. But if you remember back my reviews of other films, a slow movie never bothers me as long as it's interesting enough, and this one does. If the characters interest me, the fact that it's 2 hours without much happening is just me 2 hours watching characters I find interesting. It doesn't take anything away from me. And then I never really mind uncertainty as long as it's not uncertainty as a gimmick, and it wasn't in this case. Sometimes they'll try to deliberately not show you something. I always feel that way with Tarantino in Pulp Fiction, for example. It's we're not going to tell you what's in the case. They didn't make a point of it in this. It's just, it is the world that they're in. It's just sort of the way it is. So that didn't bother me. It's certainly not my favorite movie by any means, but I enjoy it. It's a fun leisurely paced, very enjoyable movie that I think could appeal to a broad range of audiences and a broad range of ages, as the scores show that it does if you look at Rotten Tomatoes. But I also agree that if you're someone who needs a compelling story, not just a well-written story, but a compelling story that, oh, I can't wait to see what happens next, this probably isn't the movie for you. But I don't need that. I don't want every movie to be this way, but I like the movie if it's well made enough that's this way, which is why it's a 90 from me.
A 90. All right. Eric, why'd you take a screenshot?
Huh?
I heard a screenshot happen.
I was taking a screenshot of our rankings.
Oh.
I was afraid that something had gotten messed up on my side.
Oh, I got you. I was like, what happened? So I did pull open the rankings because I felt this movie was about 10 points better than the EriDan movie. So what did I give the EriDan movie, which was a 70? This is, I mean, it's not my style, but I appreciate it for sure. And I think this is a little bit more than an 80. So I'm going to give this an 83.
Wow.
So I went 13 over my 70 that I gave EriDan.
Now, see, I didn't even think about scoring it against EriDan because I do like EriDan better. The story.
Ooh.
The story.
Ooh.
But not the all of the
animation.
Stuff. Yeah, the animation. So
yeah,
it's probably about the same.
You know, honestly, I was doing the same thing as Dan. I was giving it about 10 points more than I gave EriDan. And I gave EriDan a 55.
Ooh.
And so I'll do what Dan did. I'll give it a 68.
You went 13 over.
Extra points for the dog saving Gigi.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Eric, it is Best Friends Day. We are Beaver County besties.
We are Beaver County besties.
Who picked EriDan?
Stacy.
Okay.
Yeah. So So and you said that Dan, you said your mother did not get a chance to watch.
She did not watch this one, but here's Adam. This movie ain't for me. Too slow.
Yeah,
34.
Yep. I knew it wasn't
That
his style of
surprised me,
movie.
yeah.
So I have a question about the fan service that was happening, as they call it. I've heard the kids call it. Just a lot of fluttering of the skirt and lots of little girl underwear.
You know,
I don't think it was like a gratuitous choice in this movie. Like,
No.
I don't know. Like it's not like they were deliberately showing like upskirt shots. They just had her wearing a loose dress, so when she was flying or there was wind, it would naturally like billow.
Right. Like, I feel like they chose that on purpose, though, to have that happen. Because
Well, I think they were emphasizing that she was still a little girl to a certain
Yeah.
degree, and also it's very different in Japanese culture than it is in U.S. culture.
right.
Yeah, because like they didn't seem like I've watched plenty of anime. I've played like plenty of games where like there is excessive fan service. So like I know what like the upskirt fan service shots look like. This did not read like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
this was very billowy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not
And like
flattering underwear.
It almost
her
looks like she was
when
wearing a
she, like,
diaper
took
in
off her
some shots.
dress because it was
Yes.
wet. Like she had like very loose like drapey underclothes. Like it's not like she was wearing like tiny underpants or anything.
It
She
was almost
wearing,
like pantaloons kind of
yeah,
thing. Yeah.
like it very much.
Yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't like your typical fan service then.
No,
It
no,
was-
no, no.
Okay. I wouldn't know because I don't
Yeah,
watch
fair.
it. But I was like, is that what they're referring to?
Well, plus Ghibli doesn't really do that. That's
Okay.
not
Yeah,
their
it's not really
style.
a Ghibli thing,
Okay.
yeah.
No, that's much more Dan style. No, I'm sorry. So we've got Kiki's Delivery Service coming in with a 78.63, beating out Super 8 and Clear and Present Danger.
Any underwear shots in It's a Lot, Dan?
No sense.
Yes. Of course, it's me.
Oh, God.
My
Dan,
underwear.
it's all Dan's. It's up shots of Dan. So then, more interesting is all the way up here.
Wow.
Column 1.
Oh
Inside Out, beating out
Wow.
Final Tap
man.
and Star Trek in the
Column
first
1 for the
column.
win. Nice.
Now,
Inside
Inside Out has a sequel coming out, and this is Spinal Tap. Also, a sequel is coming out.
Yeah.
Really?
I'm not really looking forward to that, but who knows?
Huh.
Well, Inside
Never know.
Spinal Tap is a little interesting in that when they clawed back the rights from the studio to the characters and the name, it's one of these cases where they have to use the name in some commercial
Whoa.
endeavor every 3 years or something like that, or they lose it.
I
So
see.
every few years they come together and do a CD, or they do some special little thing just to keep the rights to the name and the characters.
Interesting.
Wow,
That's
is
smart.
interesting. All right, we have to spin the wheel. See who
Oh,
gets
that's right.
our next movie. Oh, that's right. Yes, let's do that. All right. So this time, Dan
Oops.
and it's not. Oh, there it comes. Dan's mother, and Adam have all chosen a movie this time. So besides that, everybody
I
else
mean,
is.
and me presumably, right? Because I
Well, this is a
literally.
single
You're a
movie.
double
This is
feature.
not a double.
Oh, I forgot that it was a single movie. Yeah,
So you get a chance to be on the single movie wheel.
Ooh.
I thought we made the rule that if you just did the double, you don't do the single the following week.
You might be
But
right.
that's okay if Amanda gets it because she picks good movies. If it was
Yeah,
Dave, I'd be
you're
like,
an
I
come
did
on
see
now.
Cats. I don't know if you should say that. but-
Never mind. Never mind.
You didn't have to wait a year and a half to get to choose a movie. So, all right, let's shuffle this.
Shuffle it up.
Spin this up and
He
find
only
out
has a 1 in 6 chance anyway.
who gets to choose our movie.
Who's going to get picked?
So
Here it
you get a
comes.
week to pick your movie.
Brittany.
Oh,
Ooh.
it looks like it's going to be Brittany if she can be here. Yeah. All right, we have to wait and find out if Brittany's going to be able to be here.
This will be for 2 weeks from tonight, Brittany.
It's 2 weeks
Correct.
from tonight, not next Monday. So this would be the 24th of June. So we will wait and see if Brittany thinks that if she's going to be able to be around and you have a week. And if we have to spin next week and somebody has to make a quick decision on the spot, we'll figure it out.
That's a good idea. Yeah, if she
Yeah.
if she needs another week to find out if she's free, that seems reasonable.
Yes, I agree.
She's got a tight schedule.
Oh, there you go.
Yes, but we'd love
Yay!
to chance.
Oh, but wait, she can be there.
Nice.
Yo, yay!
So you can tell us now, or you can tell us next week, whenever you
No,
want to
she's
tell
supposed
us.
to- she's supposed
Oh,
to
I mean, don't pick. Yeah, you definitely wait.
take a week. Figure it
And
out.
if she can't be here next week, she can send it to you guys, and you can reveal it for her.
Yeah, we'll reveal it
There
next
we go.
week during the game night, during the social hour. So let's talk about what else you've been watching.
excuse
If I
me.
can find the button. There it is.
Oh, it didn't mute me.
So, what else have you been watching?
Well, I'm going to go with what else have I been listening to?
Oh,
Because I spent the week listening to the Michael Richards autobiography, Entrances and Exits.
Does he read it himself?
Yes. Jerry Seinfeld does the intro, and then he reads it. It's 5.5 hours long. His life story is quite amazing. And other than his huge screw up in 2006,
Yeah.
he's got quite an amazing story.
Cool.
And he talks about that in there, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I recommend it highly. It's a great Audible. I just listened to it.
I
I'm
mean,
going to buy the actual book, too, because apparently there are a ton of great pictures in it.
I do have some sympathy for him because there are a lot of guys. I mean, Elvis Costello is another one who made one stupid snafu fairly early in his career, calling Ray Charles a rather offensive name that it took him probably 20 years to more or less put behind him. And Ray Charles forgave him right away. Ray Charles, I think the comment from Ray Charles was, "Drunk talk doesn't mean anything." And Michael Richards the same way. He made a stupid mistake in a stand-up performance where he was losing his temper, and it happens.
And what's funny is literally like 2 weeks before I did a show with him at the Improv,
Mhm.
and I was hearing stories that he was getting on stage and was like just snapping at people because he was sick of being introduced as Kramer,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
and he wanted it to be, he's trying to, because he did stand up prior to Fridays. He did stand up before he did. That's how he got discovered when he did the show Fridays, and he quit stand up in '88, and then he did a thing on the Tonight Show, which led to Kramer, and it's when he did the show with us, he always was a pop-in. He was never he never wanted to be scheduled. He never wanted to be on the marquee and he says this in the book, he never wanted people to have to pay to come see him because he was still working on building an act.
Mm.
And then when you're famous, the first couple of minutes, you're always funny. Everybody loves you because you're there. And then you better, after that, you better keep being funny.
Well, the expectations are higher too because
It
you're
wears
famous
off
now.
in a second.
Yeah.
And I knew I had been hearing the stories. I didn't talk to him before I brought him up on stage. They just said, "Hey, Michael Richards is going to be in here. He's on next." So I didn't even see him. I just got up on stage and I just said, "We have a surprise guest, Emmy Award winner, star of stage and screen, Michael Richards." That's all I said. The place went nuts. Half a standing ovation. and he just killed for 20 minutes and was hysterical. And he stuck around afterwards and chatted with me and this guy, Steve Hofstetter, who was the other producer of the show. And he's like, yeah, he goes, normally I don't stick around, but that was a fun show. And thanks for the intro. And, then he left. And 2 or 3 weeks later, he was on stage. He was there late. He explains the whole thing in his book, how he got there late. He had done a TV show that early in the evening, and he hates being himself. And he interviewed on Spike Fierstein's show, that late night show on Fox that was there for a couple of years. And they kept bumping him back. He went on at the Improv or the Comedy Store beforehand. They bumped him back. He showed up here, and some guy that screamed out, "You're not funny."
Yeah.
And he said he should have said, "You're right. Tonight, I'm having a really bad night." But instead, he said, "Look at him," and he dropped a bunch of N-bombs. And one of the interviews he just did, he said, "I was doing a character. I wasn't being me." He goes, "I'm on stage. I'm never me. I just went into the character." And I'm sure 8 of the comics one before him were dropping N-bombs. They were black comics, and they were using the N-word, and he probably was just feeding off of that. That's not an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's racist, but he did a racist thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's been 18 years.
There's a lot of, you go through the history of people who felt trapped by a role. Leonard Nimoy's first autobiography was called "I Am Not Spock," because he was just so sick of being constantly identified as Spock. And then in his later years, he came to appreciate that he had something that very few actors get, which is an iconic role.
Right.
And it takes you years to realize that. And he eventually wrote another memoir called "I Am Spock."
Yeah.
It was so, yeah. And and just from Seinfeld alone, Jason Alexander felt a bit trapped by his role there as well. Julia Louis-Dreyfus somehow seemed to escape it more easily than the other two did.
Yeah. And Jerry was just being Jerry. He was lucky. He could continue to go on and be himself.
Right.
And just be a comedian.
Yeah.
But the other thing he talks about is the show that he had, the Michael Richards show, and why it was such a failure and how it was rushed to air because they needed something. And it was canceled after 8 episodes, and he was so happy.
Well, I remember him from Fridays. I remember him from Fridays too.
Fridays.
He was like Jim Carrey before Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
He had that rubber face, that extreme, more or less like the character he played in UHF.
I was going to say, don't forget UHF.
Stanley Spadowski.
His most iconic role in UHF.
But it's just a great book, and just the development of the Kramer character, how he was Kessler in the original pilot, and because they weren't going to use Kramer's name, his friend Kenny Kramer, Larry's friend, and then they finally made an agreement with him to use the name Kramer, and how they came up with Cosmo, and it's a great. If you like Seinfeld, it's an amazing book,
All right.
especially just those years. But he grew up from a single mom who was raped and was going to give him up. First, she was going to get an abortion, then she was going to give up for adoption, and he shouldn't exist. So it's just a great story.
Wow.
And I think Stacy's frozen because if not, she's been holding her head.
This has been so exhausting for her. Yeah, I don't.
It's exhausting.
Oh, Dan, stop talking, Dan.
Yeah, they must
It was just that name drop that you gave that really just sent her over the
Oh,
and they're gone.
and a Stacy drop to go with it.
Oh no.
But I do recommend, if you don't want to read it, listen to it, and listen to it at 1.5 speed because he talks very slowly.
Oh, okay.
I have still not seen an episode of Seinfeld.
What?
It's something I've heard of, and I know what the character. I think I know which character Kramer looks like.
But
and I'll also tell you that it's a show. I think Newhart is the same way. I think the Dick Van Dyke Show is the same way. You will probably not get sucked in the first episode you watch, even if you watch a really good episode, because you have to have maybe like half a dozen episodes under your belt to really sort of appreciate who the characters are and the interrelationships between them for a lot of the humor to really sink in.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, here's the thing that's amazing. So he had a daughter who's probably in her 50s now, and then he just had a son who's like 11 or 12 years old. Like he got remarried, had a second
Who is
child.
he, Robert De Niro?
I know. Well, he's 74 now. He had the kid when he was 60, so the kid's 14 probably. But he had never watched Seinfeld. Michael Richards never watched an episode.
Oh, Michael
So
Richards.
he watched it from the first episode in order, just like I did with Josh when he was around 10. And he said experiencing it through his eyes was amazing.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because the problem he had watching it was seeing himself, knowing I could have done that better, or I should have come in sooner, or I should have done that.
Any perfectionist has that problem.
And that's how he was so Kramer. I mean, he talks about the shoes, all the clothes he wore on the show, he personally purchased.
Oh,
wow.
Like, it's just amazing. There's so much detail in there, and just so many little weird ways people crossed in and out of his life, and how, that's all. So I recommend it highly.
It's pretty good.
Cool. A big change. I did watch all 4 John Wick movies again. I hadn't seen 4 actually. I'd only seen 1 through 3.
Oh, wow.
So I rewatched 1 through 3 and watched 4. And I will say, if I know there's supposedly a sequel planned, a John Wick 5, not counting Ballerina, that's separate. But there's apparently pre-production on some John Wick 5. There shouldn't be a John Wick 5. And that's not being bad, but I like the way 4 wraps up, and I don't want there to be a 5.
Do they go downhill?
You could just not go.
Does it stay good, or does it go downhill significantly as the sequels?
No, actually, it's fair. I mean, I actually liked 4 better than 2 and 3. 1, I think, is probably the best. 4 is probably second best, because 1 sets up the characters. 2 and 3 are good, but 2 and 3 are very loud, very in-your-face violence, which I can enjoy, but it's almost overwhelming. 4 pulls it back just enough to be, I think, the right mix.
Interesting.
Yeah. I feel the same way about Toy Story 4. So, it's it's just
you thought Toy Story 4 was unnecessary. I thought John Wick 4 was actually
so bad.
A good cappings to the series, but yeah.
Did you watch them all in one day? Is the question.
No, I watched them probably over a period of a week and a half or so. And then I tried to watch The Continental, which was the series that was based in the same world and is like a prequel to the John Wick movies. And I got about halfway through the first episode and was bored to tears.
Oh, man, that's a bummer.
This isn't what I've been watching, but I've been excited through someone else watching something, and that my younger sister has finally watched the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Oh, wow.
Oh, so you watched all 3?
Yeah, they were showing it in theaters Saturday, Sunday, and then tonight. And her girlfriend is a big Lord of the Rings full 3 days, and so we got updates over the past couple of days of I've now seen 2 towers. Very exciting. Since Jen and I were both very large Lord of the Rings fans in high school, but she somehow managed to.
I don't think she had ever read the books, had she?
No, I mean, to be fair, Jen and I only read the books when the movie was coming out, and we were like, "Oh, cool, let's read the books first." So we were 13, I think, around the time we were getting ready for that, and so she would have been 8. So
oh no, she wouldn't have read them at that age.
And she wouldn't have been watching the movies because they were probably PG-13. So I get why she probably wasn't watching it while they were coming out with us, but it's been so long to not have seen it. So, and maybe eventually we'll continue that on this show. But
True.
You never know.
Or continue through Harry Potter, because we stopped after
We did stop for Harry Potter.
Did we watch the 4th one, or?
I think we did do the 4th one.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
4 movies in and we got stuck.
Still 4 more
halfway
to go,
there.
though, but yeah.
Halfway through 8.
Yeah. Well, we watched. I don't know if Wade watched as much, but the Kevin James special, Irregardless, on. I think it's on Amazon.
Which is not a word.
I know.
Yes, that is correct. It is not a word.
It was hilarious, but he didn't look like himself. He has this black beard. I remember him being a blonde Irishman.
And he shaved his head, dyed his beard, and lost weight.
Yeah.
So he didn't look like Paul Blart?
No, not at all. Not at all. And that was weird. He came out, I'm like, who's that guy? Is it Adam's younger brother? I mean, it just because he had a smaller beard. That's the only reason I'd say younger. But it was just weird. I'm like, who's he trying to fool? Because he's a blonde Irishman. Yeah, but he was funny. I've always liked him. I never liked he and Leah Remini together. I don't understand that combination at all, and everybody seems to think it's some dynamic duo, and I'm like, nah. But he's hilarious. So
cool.
2 TV series we watched wrapped up. We haven't finished watching the last couple of episodes, but Young Sheldon wrapped.
Yep.
and Bob Hart's Abishola wrapped.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
I would watch that when it first came out, but we don't watch enough regular TV channels to remember
It's not a classic, but it's a solid show.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
It's one of those shows where the main characters are okay. Some of the side characters are hysterical.
Right.
And you build a good ensemble cast, and you have entire episodes that are basically propped up by some of the great supporting roles.
Yeah.
I've been watching an amazing amount of John Oliver on YouTube.
Oh,
John Oliver is so
John
good.
Oliver, yes.
So
pretty
much they have all of the main segments of his show available to stream.
Well, he complained recently when they changed their policy and they put up his main segments now later than they used to. There's a longer delay, and he was up. Was it from Max? Is that his?
Oh, I think
yes, he's on Max. Yeah,
and he was rather vocal in his displeasure with that, because he's one who's not at all hesitant to poke his boss, sort of Letterman-like in that way.
Yes. He's kind of made a career out of it.
Oh, I loved. So you had to have seen him offering the RV to Clarence Thomas.
Yes.
Oh, that was hysterical.
Yeah, actually, I think we just watched that one last night or tonight. It's just easy 20 minutes, right, of easy viewing, on YouTube.
It certainly varies with the subject matter, but he's always at least good.
Yes. Yeah. So I do enjoy that. Something fun there. So Brittany says she has narrowed it down to approximately 6 movies that we'll all hate.
Yeah, but you thought we would hate Love and Monsters too, and we didn't.
Wait, I'm intrigued though about which ones we will all hate. Like, I'm sure there's some subsets of us.
That's a unique.
I'm curious which one would be that she would like that would be universally
hated by everybody.
Yeah.
Who's that girl too?
No, because Stacey would like that.
The Return of Cats.
Yeah.
Yeah, The Return of Cats.
And with that,
Kittens, the prequel. Yeah.
see, but then you'd like that one. So
That's true.
Right? So
that's true. I would enjoy seeing Cats again.
Yeah, so it's not universally hated.
She says she's been watching Station 11 and Life Below Zero, Northern Territories.
What is Station 11?
I don't know. I've not heard of any of these.
No.
Is that like Channel
11?
Oh,
it's a miniseries. It's a post-apocalyptic dystopian fiction miniseries.
Oh, I think I've seen ads for that.
Oh, it's from 20. Oh no, it's okay. It was from 2021. It looks like when it started.
Okay.
It's on Max.
Reagan was watching Life Below Zero.
Interesting.
It ran from 2021 to 2022 on Max. Yeah.
I see it aired in 2021, and the first sentence of the premise is 20 years after a flu pandemic resulted in the collapse of civilization. So
wonderful.
Topical.
And I don't recognize any of the stars of it.
Yeah, I can't imagine why it didn't do so. No, I'm sure that's awesome. That's awesome.
It's awesome that she's freaked out.
Yeah. We all need to be freaked out a little bit.
Yeah.
there you go.
Well, it's going to be hard to match Amanda's 2 movies. She did one in the low 90s and one in the high 70s. Was that what it came out to?
I think maybe mid. I don't even remember.
Mid
which.
Correct.
70s.
The high 70s, high 90s.
That's got to be among the upper echelon of double features.
Yeah, seriously.
Fair? Yeah.
Because I know people love The Apartment and were meh on Some Like It Hot when I had that double feature.
That is true.
What was
That is true. It's hard to come up with 2 movies.
Yeah. Well, and I don't want them to be the same either. I mean, I could pick, Godfather and Godfather Part 2 and things like that. But I like Amanda's approach to some theme, but definitely different enough that someone who dislikes one maybe likes the other.
Yeah.
And then she's saying one of the main guys from Station 11 was from yesterday.
It could be. Yeah, I saw there was a Patel in it.
I forget the lead from yesterday, but yes.
There's a Himesh Patel. Yeah, that's him. Yeah, he was the lead from yesterday.
How about that?
Yesterday.
He sings a lot in this movie.
Hey, Brittany, Reagan's been watching Life Below Zero too. I recognize some of the characters. Some of the people, they're not characters. Reality kind of thing. So.
Oh, they're
a
characters.
reality show. Okay.
Kind of a reality, I guess.
Characters, yeah.
Yeah.
My mom started. She finished watching "We Were the Lucky Ones" on Hulu, which is a book about some survivors from World War II.
Yeah.
And she also watched some of Only Murders in the Building, the ones with Meryl Streep.
Ooh, that's a good season.
Season 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Martin Short is dating Meryl Streep. I don't know if we talked about that, but they're a couple
What?
now.
I thought that was debunked. That Martin Short came out and said, "No, I'm not."
I thought he's the one that said he was.
Strikes me as the kind of thing he'd made a joke about, and people went, "Oh, it's happening."
Huh.
Oh, let's look.
But the season 4 is coming out in August.
Oh, awesome.
All right, I'm going to share these comments from Brittany. She says, we want to move to Canada and go hunt moose.
Wow.
I'm free to that.
Seems like a great.
What, Edinburgh's not enough for you?
That's a great plan. And then along with going to Louisiana, hunt gators. Weird people from swamp people.
These seem like
Move
great
to
choices.
Buffalo.
Yeah.
Move to Buffalo and wait for a lake effect snow to roll in. You know,
Oh, Edinburgh gets us enough of that.
Yeah.
That's
but
true.
I
They
think
get their
Buffalo
share.
gets it worse.
We don't have moose.
Oh.
Moose and
No moose and
meese.
meat.
I think it's meese. I'm pretty sure it's meese.
of meese and men.
Of meese and men.
Ed Meese.
So next Monday night, we will be
Yeah,
gathering
get to play games.
social hour, and we'll
Oh, yeah,
play
it's a game night.
Hopefully, games that don't crash.
That
Or
would
we'll
be
find
nice.
new ones that do.
That's right. We will find something that doesn't crash.
That last one we played was good. What was the?
Well, I crashed,
I don't know
so
the
I
name of
don't know.
It was the one that was like wavelength about the trying to
Yeah.
figure out what your
That
number
was
was.
a good one.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
So
That was pack 9.
So we'll probably play some favorites and experiment with at least one new game.
oh gosh, yes, at least. Who knows?
See what
Do it
crazy
all.
stuff's in those like 10
The
packs.
animation was interesting.
I like
Yeah.
Drawful Animate. It's very
Drawful
That was
Anime
hard.
was really interesting.
It was
yeah.
a challenge.
Yes. That's something I think if you did it enough, you could probably get good at it. But, yeesh, that was rough. That was a hard
That
one.
was rough.
Okay,
I like regular drawful better.
that's fair. It looks like Non-Sensory was the name of that number game that we played last.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Okay.
Yes, I will do some research to see if I can find out why that one was crashing. But if
Yeah,
not,
that's weird.
Yeah, you'd think there'd be some posts on it somewhere.
yeah. So I'll see what I can find out, and yeah, we will get together on Monday night for games and fun and
Yay.
Just
stories. from
waiting
great art.
waiting on pins and needles for Brittany's pick.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What movie we will
I
all
know.
hate. Yeah.
I'm curious to hear what we would all hate. But,
Very curious.
and then I have to ask Amanda, is that a giant axe behind you?
Oh, it is. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Oh, it is, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Naturally.
This is an axe that I made.
Whoa!
That I made when I was cosplaying as Haru from Persona 5. So I made an axe.
She has
I thought it
various
was
cosplay props
From
around.
Depot.
Yeah.
That's pretty fabulous.
That is beyond fabulous.
Yeah, it turned out really good.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so she has that in her window to dissuade people from.
Well, to
That's
be fair,
right.
what's in-
Right. You
what's
don't
in the
need
window is
security.
a Cactuar weapon. That's the one that's in the window. This was from my Yuffie cosplay.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive. Excellent decor. I love it.
Good to have some weapons on hand in case people try to break in. This
Absolutely.
Yes.
come at them with an axe.
The news story of you defending yourself with an axe would be something else.
It would be amazing.
I fought him off with an axe made of
Made of
foam
like
and
EVA
cardboard.
foam, and yeah, it's not
It
gonna
looks
be
perfect. That's excellent. All right. Well, and on that note, we'll see you all next Monday night.
That's good.
See you. Good night. Good night.
Goodbye.